Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the neck of the woods or the part of the globe you're joining us from. And welcome to our webinar today. It will be my honor to be walking you through as your host. Thank you for joining us quite early. We're just going to ask you for 5 minutes of your time just to allow us do some housekeeping and let all our participants join in. But we're excited to take you through our webinar today. We will be officially clicking off at 5 minutes or 4 minutes from now. So just give us 5 minutes and we'll kick off. We'll get this show on the road. Again, for those of us that have joined quite early, thank you for joining. We hope to bring you an insightful and exciting webinar. Thank you. All right, as promised, we are back and we are ready to get our webinar going. So to kick off, let me just do some quick introduction. My name is Itoha Iyala, and I'll be your host for today. And today would be looking at a very interesting topic. And our topic for today uh, would be overcoming the toughest challenges in HR management using AI. That's what we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at how to overcome the toughest challenges in HR using AI. So for us to even look at, overcoming these challenges, we're going to have to get to know exactly what these challenges are exactly, and then how we can even understand and use AI to actually transcend these challenges. But before we delve into that, let's tell you a little bit about the organization that is bringing this particular webinar forward. This webinar is being sponsored or being brought to you by Ibanco. Ibanco is a customer engagement platform. You could say we're a SaaS organization. We basically help businesses of all sizes to provide instant and seamless services to their customers across multiple channels 24/7. So basically, you could say that the Banco gives every AI or every business their own AI platform almost free of charge. Almost free of charge. So that's what we do in Ibanco. And I'm sure you're wondering how we do this. Very, very, very simply. And this is how it works. So basically, we take a business's multiple touch points or multiple platforms of engagement. So whether it is social media handles, WhatsApp, email, or internal platforms like Teams, Microsoft, and the likes, and we plug it into our platform. And then within that space, we include some very interesting AI tools that can make the engagement, the interactions, the communications quite seamless. And we go a step further to take all your external plugins. So do you have a support team? Do you have like a HR team? You plug that into that same space, and then voila, we create a very unique AI platform that is available, and it is in makes engagement quite seamless and interesting both for the business and whoever it is that the business is engaging with, whether it's external customers or internal customers. But I'm not here to talk about Ibanco. Ibanco is not the focus for today. And we're talking about overcoming the toughest challenges of HR. And to help me do justice to this, I have two very interesting speakers. I have two very, very interesting speakers. So first off, allow me to introduce our first speaker. This is how I like to describe her. So she used to spend her days troubleshooting IT systems until she realized that the most fascinating and the most complex systems in any business organization are people. Today, with over 20 decades of HR experience and coupled with the multiple degrees under her belt, she runs TGL Labs, Tailored IQ, and EOF, while serving as a fractional chief people officer advisor to many founders who want to get their workplace culture right. She's recognized as one of Nigeria's most disruptive and visionary HR leader, and she spent her time teaching, speaking like she'll be doing today, and helping companies build places where people actually want to work. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome my dear, dear friend, Elizabeth Konji. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Ituha.
How are you
Hi, thank
doing?
you. I'm good. I'm good. Happy to be here.
All right. So Elizabeth will be helping us do justice, to those. Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you for jamming those digital hands together. Thank you, thank you. I see the hands. So she'll be helping us, delve in, and she's an absolute authority in this space. So she'll be helping us delve in into beaming the light on exactly those challenges, and then also helping us, guiding us towards how we can solve it. Because really, AI is just all about, I like to call it garbage in, garbage out. So you have to identify the problems that you want the AI to solve first, and then put it into the AI system, and then expect the solution that you expect to come out. And then when you don't get the expected result, we try again. That's what technology is about. But to help me do justice to that, and help us walk through how that can work and how this possibility of all these challenges can be resolved using I have another speaker. And again, this is how I like to describe him. He spent the last 15 years exploring every corner of the financial tech ecosystem, from management consulting to e-payments to strategy to agency banking. He built his foundation with industry leaders in KPMG, First Bank, maybe, and then he transitioned over 6 years ago to lead cross-functional teams in the SaaS and financial inclusion space. He's a natural he's a natural bridge builder with a knack for scaling digital solutions, and currently he is the head of business development and partnerships at Ibanco, where he spends his time forging strategic alliance and driving practical innovations. There's no one better to help us walk through the AI part of this our webinar than Tosin Olaleye. Mr. Tosin, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to be here to talk about what AI can do in the HR space. Good to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so now that I have my speakers all introduced, so let's do a little bit of some housekeeping. Let's go um, a little bit, just some quick housekeeping. So our webinar format today is going to be in two folds. So first off, I'm going to allow my speaker. So Elizabeth is going to kick off first. She's going to talk us through a couple of the challenges or how she sees, HR evolving from where it is now to where it could be, walking through the challenges and what the expectation about what every business needs to have and how HR is quite vital to the practical existence of any business organization. In between, I'm going to, chip in some questions and then pull tossing into those conversation or those my questions and see how we can actually practically see AI solving some specific problems that are going to be identified. Once this particular segment is done, we will have an open Q&A session where we'll collate and try to address as many questions as possible. So that's the format that we're going to take. And I hear, a little birdie has whispered to me that Ibanco has some things to give out. So we'll see what that looks like at the end. But they whispered to me that it's only for those that actually wait to the very end of the webinar. So without wasting too much time, so let's kick off. So Elizabeth, I would like to hand over to you to generally walk us through first and foremost, the HRO, the outlook of HRO now, what it looks like now, the challenges, what the future could look like, and the likes.
hmm hmm
Over to you, Elizabeth.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Toha.
Sure.
Um, guys, so first of all, let me give you an introduction into me. If you're on this call and you haven't experienced when I'm addressing an issue before, bear with me because I am just going to say it how I think. So just bear with me, right? I might not be the most articulate person you've met, but I promise you, I am hoping that I'll be the person you can understand the most. Yeah. Okay. So, what are we talking about? The biggest challenges. I like to think about this from if somebody calls me and says, "Oh, let's talk about the biggest challenges in HR." My first question is why? Why? What's going on? Why are we talking about the challenges at this time? So I'll walk you through why I think it's important, this
Hmm.
conversation. And then I will talk about why people management is at a very interesting point. And I wish more people management people permit me to use the term people management when I remember, because the world calls it HR now. I personally disagree with the term human resources because humans are not resources, but that's story for another day. So HR people might be aware of the conundrum that they're in, or they might not be. It might be my pleasure, might be, maybe it is to let you know the conundrum you're in. And then Yeah, we'll not just talk about problems, talk about solutions. So here is the trigger point. Guys, in case you've not noticed, the way you used to work 2 years ago has changed. And right after COVID or during the pandemic, we were all about, oh, businesses that used to think they couldn't be virtual. Now, haha, everybody's virtual. Everybody had to go remote. Businesses who couldn't keep up had to shut down and all of that. But then we evolved and we got to the point where people are back in the office. The companies or organizations or businesses that can afford to run their businesses virtually or through hybrid. My company is remote first. Like even I don't like going to the office, so are doing that. But not every industry. Imagine a virtual police or a manufacturing plant that is entirely remote. Where we are now, we can't do that. Maybe not in Africa. But the time is here where most of the work that requires people to be sitting at a desk in a location that's not of their choosing is about to be fully changed. When we see that there are robots that can perform complex surgeries, what else is there? So the way we work, the way we think as human beings has to change. We have adapted beyond the technology that was just, oh, come and help me do my work. There's now technology that will do your work. So what does your work now become? And when people talk about, oh, AI is going to come and take over people's jobs, and people will say, oh, no, it's the person who's using AI that will take over your job. Both are true. If you don't adjust and make your intelligence higher than the artificial intelligence, you will be irrelevant. It's just a simple fact. Anyway, the speed of this change that we're talking about is now at breakneck speed. There are new models coming out of every LLM, new models, new ways of using it. When ChatGPT came out, there was this whole thing, even on Udemy, prompt engineering. The way you were being taught how to prompt before, it's not the same way you need to prompt now. So that change is drastic. And the consumer behavior, what customers want from whatever your business is doing. HR will not exist if a business is not selling something. This just first of all, you will not because who are you HRing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the consumers that drive what your business is powered by are changing. What they want from you, the experience that you are giving them today. If they breathe a little, there's somebody that has done the AI for it or for an aspect of that. So the expectations are changing. It's changing at the same breakneck speed. And because of that, the economies around the external economy, not even the internal economy in your organization, is changing because where people are willing to spend money is shifting. So it's changing. And the external affects the internal in that sense. Then the way you use technology, what you can use technology for, what you should be using technology for, is changing. And therefore, people and businesses and organizations and economies, macro, micro, everything have to adjust business models. But do you know what business model to adjust to? Do you know what change is happening in the shorter term or longer term? You don't know. There are skills that are required for you to hack that, to think longer term, to think of the ambiguous design of the change that is happening and the speed. So you need to make decisions faster. You need to gather data from everything. That data from everything. The department or the function in any business that has access to data that is bigger than any other function is the human resources department, because people are the ones implementing all the change, all the work that has to happen. It's human beings that are in your engineering team, it's human beings that are in your product team, it's human beings, your finance team, all the data. You need to make your data dynamic, not forced into holes of what you understand, because that understanding, as we said before, is changing. Who are the people implementing this thing? You need people who can adapt, who can learn on the fly. So here is your conundrum, dear HR. To respond to this change that is here, it used to be a cliche when they say the only constant thing in life is change.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's fast change, add fast there. Exactly. So you as HR have to say you, us, we, yeah, have to think, so this business that I'm HR for, what are we here for? What are we selling? Is the customer going to still be interested in how we are providing this service or product to them in the next 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to care? We can tell cautionary tales of the Nokias, Blockbusters,
Yeah,
and Blackberries of the world, but
absolutely.
we are all sitting there now. We're sitting like them right now. So when you think about what are we here for? Are we going to be here for much longer? What should we be here for? You then have to go next. Who do we need? Remember, it's people who are going to drive all this change, implement all of this,
Yeah, true.
respond to the thing, build
Very
the
true.
economy, build your product, sell,
Yeah.
all of that. Who do you need? What
And even
must these people?
and
Yeah,
Elizabeth, let
go.
me just jump in, and then even typing the prompts for the AIs to.
Thank you. Who will type it? Are they still going to type olden days type of prompts?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they wasting time typing prompts that don't lead you forward in the direction you want to go? And then you get, like you said, garbage in, garbage out. So if I
Yeah.
go and ask the AI bombastic question, meanwhile, the problem I'm supposed to be solving is not what I typed. It will give me the long off-point response.
Mm-hmm.
And I can sit there and be wasting time. Somebody who thinks different, who has problem solving and analytical skills, will go and analyze the problem and type a proper prompt and get better results faster. Or
Faster.
somebody who knows how to use the tools.
Mm-hmm.
Gone are the days when you would solve your HR solution problem by going to buy one of the big elite HRIS tools.
Mm.
Right? They are huge, they are unwieldy, and they force your system into what they've designed.
Mm.
If we are in a place where the change is speedy and rapid, you don't need that. I don't really care if they come for me because I'm nobody. It doesn't make sense unless they become more flexible and nimble
Mm.
to give us systems that make us move with the times, and not just the external times, the times within our organization.
Okay.
So if I'm trying to figure out who do I need,
Mm-hmm.
what must they be doing well? I want to figure that out every day, not just at cycles of every 6 months or once a year with a long process that makes the managers cross their eyes and wish they were dead and maybe try and make people dead. Yeah.
I have a quick question I want to jump in on,
Sure.
and it's something that you said about who should you get. Now, what kind of data would you require to be able to know who you should get? What are the kind of data that you could possibly that could be of value to you to be able to point you in that direction, or in the right
Okay.
direction of who you should get?
Okay. So this is a very interesting question. I might answer this different tomorrow when you ask me, but let me tell you what the foundational things are.
Okay.
So first of all, you need to know what structure, what problem is your business solving? Yeah.
Okay.
First of all.
Mm-hmm.
And that could sound like your business plan for the year,
Yeah.
your goals, your
Mm-hmm.
vision, your mission. You then have to figure out, okay, so how do we design ourselves internally to be positioned to solve this outwardly? Yeah.
Okay.
Who needs to be sat? So your organizational structure, manpower planning, all of that. When you are feeling the leadership positions for each of these roles, in my mind now, I am picturing a company that does not already exist.
Yeah.
So we're hiring from scratch.
Okay.
What I will be looking for will be people who have the skill to do what my organization needs to do well.
Mm.
So if I say I have a consulting company
Mhm.
and I need what's consulting. So we do it on a business coaching type of, in a business coaching approach.
Mhm.
We get into your organization and sometimes you could have told us what you think your problem is.
Yeah.
But because you're inside, you might not really be seeing what the real problem is or the root cause. So to man this company and how I think business coaching and advisory should be, I'm looking for people who don't assume, who can think and who can ask the right questions.
Okay.
And who can, so I'm thinking, now these are the skills I need. Where do I find these people? Is
Mm.
it possible for one person to have all of these skills?
Mhm.
So I'm looking for data in terms of what are other companies who are doing this, what type of people are in there. So there's a lot of research that will go in there. Who do you need? Is there any organization doing something similar to what you want to do or what you're doing?
Mhm.
And find the people that are there. Check the ones that are succeeding. No? Don't go and check any. Thank you, because you don't know why they're not. But check the ones that are succeeding and narrow it down to, what must we do well that's
Mhm.
different from them? And what skills are these? You will do a lot of research in terms of what the customer behavior around this service you want to provide or product has been from history data. So data from competition, or maybe you're trying to solve a new problem or an old problem in a different way. So you might not have or might not think you have a lot of competition,
Mm.
but figure out who are the people who are sort of in the space of that problem you want to solve.
Okay.
And the data is from external.
Mhm.
What are they doing? What is their customer behavior like? And how are you fixing to solve this problem differently? Then you go and you check all the people out there. Who are the people who've demonstrated that they have this type of skill? Or can we guess that they have this type of skills? And then you start to narrow it down. So this is a recruitment type of conversation, but it
Mm.
starts with talent definition. Who do you call talent in this scenario? And where do you find them? What do you need to look for them? That's the type of
Mm.
data. So it will be performance data. I won't call it performance data, but just experiential deductions that you can get from looking at people's profiles.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes that's wrong. So you need to be able to create a big funnel, get as many as as you can in that funnel quickly, and
Okay.
program your AI to filter for what is right and true. Test and be resilient. So I don't know if that answers the
Yes,
question.
it does. It does. It does. Let me allow you.
Okay.
I will jump in
So
again. Let me allow you continue the flow.
no problem. So when you get these people, if you've used the right data, you found them, and you've used data on the people who have performed, because in the beginning you have to, how we say, kiss many frogs, yeah, till you find the prince or something. So you identify that process of the selection
Mm.
is providing data for you. So
Mm.
there is no data that's useless. Everything, where were the most successful people. There was an interesting research I did way many years ago, maybe like 10 years ago. And I
Mm.
found out that for some specific roles, people who graduated from Covenant University performed better. It was weird. We just had that data in some roles. And then I started digging. It would have been easy for us to say, now only go to Covenant University.
Yeah.
Yeah. And start hiring from there. And it was tempting to do that because you move, but you move fast and then you have to turn back. Then you end up on a treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you're supposed to be moving. So anyway, I then asked my team, Go and research the people who are coming from here. What did they study specifically? And then let's go and find out what types of exercises do they give them there?
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is making these people better? Is it just that they are book smart, or are their problem solving skills different? What we found out was that these people were able to bounce back and think more broadly
Mm-hmm.
than most people in their, in their departments. And it was from maybe stress or wahala in school. I don't know what it was,
I
but
was
they
about
just
to say they don't have family problem.
maybe, but they were approaching problems more broader, like they were
Yeah,
thinking
clearly.
broader than most people easily. It was
Mm.
very interesting to note. So we said, okay, good. If we can't afford to go and just be hiring everybody from Covenant University,
Mm-hmm.
should we be looking for these skills, and how do we test it in people? Because maybe somebody who went to a Uniben, Delta State University, all those types have it.
Yeah, you might still be able to find them in those
Thank
kind.
you.
Okay.
So we converted our selection process to look for those skills with practical tests. And it could include something like buy all those packed tables,
Yeah.
like an IKEA thing, and put it in
Mm-hmm.
the room
And then
and
put it together.
tell them to put it together
Put
and
it
put it, and
together.
somebody's watching from the camera. We see how they start, how just simple things. Or you hire somebody for a legal team,
Mm.
and what skill do you really need them to have? Right? Attention to detail, all of that. But we put them in interviews and we're asking them, tell us about a time when those are good,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't tell me anything about what you can do on the job, how you approach a problem. So what will I do? I'll give you a document that has errors that are not easy to detect, and tell you to tell us all the just edit this thing, and then we'll see. You have a short
Let me
time and it's
let
easy.
me let me let me I know that you said this data approach, right? You used it for existing, like for bringing for recruitment. What about if you needed to apply that in to existing, maybe like you wanted to do some, let me see, use the word capacity building,
Hmm, hmm.
and then you needed to how did they say it in the Bible? You needed to separate the
To sift.
exactly.
The wheat from the chaff.
Uh-huh.
You want
Yes,
to
you needed.
segregate
Yes, you
the
needed to
two.
remove the substance. Like, how would you go about it? And again, I'm going to try and connect it to Tosin because I really want to know how HR can help in this particular context, or hey, how AI can help. But let me hear from Elizabeth first.
It's performance management. That's what we call it, right?
Ah,
That's what we call that thing you just described. How do you
okay,
identify who's doing what they're supposed to be doing well?
okay.
But then there's also the phenomenon of square pegs in round holes. And maybe you
Mm-hmm.
hired this person. So
Mm-hmm.
in your selection, you're like, oh, yes, we're solving round hole problems. So
Yeah.
let's only look for people who are round hole, round hole, round hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everybody inherently has square and round in them.
Okay.
You can then put them in that round hole. But remember how we said your business is changing, the world's changing, everything's changing.
Mm.
Maybe your business now needs to evolve and
Yeah.
pivot into a little bit more squaring.
Yeah.
And then, because your systems are not engineered to identify or, to pivot, or you don't have people who are resilient, like
Mm-hmm.
the group I just described,
Mm.
work isn't happening, people are not performing, and then you have to go and do your exit or whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
have to figure out for real whether it's an exit situation, the person doesn't have squaring in them at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, in terms of delivering every day, who is able to bring out the square in them, even if they're in a round situation, because they've observed that there is a round one? It shows up in what they do. How do you track
Mm.
that? How do you track that? You can't
Mm.
really effectively track that if you are measuring people's performance only based on the goal you set at the start of the year, which might be some far thing that even they don't really understand, because it's vague, it's a long one line thing. You can't track who is wielding it. So in that process, you need data from every, maybe more frequent data, basically. Because if I say every day now, they will say, the best wants to give us work.
Okay.
But yeah, it's performance management.
Okay, so I'm going to Leah. I'm just going to hold you on something you said, and I'm going to pull Tosin in because I kind of want to get you've spoken about the value of extensive data, and I'm beaming the light on what you said about a round peg in a square hole. So let's assume that we've identified, this a talent as, being a round peg in a square hole, and then even the talent themselves have understood that they are a round peg in a square hole, and they are
Mhm.
meaning to, they are willing to be able to become squared.
Mhm.
Let's use that one. They are meaning to be able to become squared. Tosi, my question to you is, and I know you're probably going to be able to, um, you're going to be able to show us maybe much later in. Can you just quickly talk about how we could possibly use AI to maybe identify a gap of some sort, if possible? Yeah, is that something that is even possible? And then how easy is it to pull that up?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question,
Mhm.
and if you will, a subsect of the performance management that Elizabeth, had really spoken about. So first things first, in this case, you're um, in order to be able to make sure that the performance of your staff are, very good, to make sure that you have square pegs in square holes. One of the things that you are able to do,
Or you have covenant like, it's like no
exactly,
no 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 shots fired. You have covenant like talents.
talents. I don't know if anybody of us here are from Covenant. I know
I,
you are not from Covenant. I am not from Covenant,
Yes,
but
here
it's
we are
it's fine.
marketing them. Yeah.
Aha, the other school. Um, but with the tools specifically and at the fingertips of both the employees and the HR staff, you are able to disseminate training gap assessments um, almost at the snap of your finger, right?
okay.
So, what it means in real terms, and of course, I'm going to show us maybe down the line
Okay.
during this conversation what it looks like so that we can put images to what we're talking about. But essentially, today, with the way that AI has gotten to,
Mhm.
and with the specific tool that we have at Ibanco, a staff member is able to go directly to their internal communication tools. When you started it, you had mentioned that Ibanco is able to pull several channels. So for HR specifically, you'll be looking at channels like Microsoft Teams. You'll be looking
Yeah,
at
that's
channels
quite
like
popular.
Google
Yeah.
Chats.
Mhm.
Um, in some organizations, we have found that WhatsApp has transited from a personal messaging app to a business messaging app. So those
Interesting.
channels, yes, those
Hmm.
channels were able to pull together. Now, the
So
initial
wait, Tosin,
question,
let me jump on top of what you're saying so that
okay,
I'm because I'm going to hold you to it because I wrote it down. You mentioned training gap assessment tool. So
sure.
what you're saying is that um, the organization can deploy a training gap assessment tool, which Elizabeth and and her likes can include as part of the tools that they require for gathering data for performance, performance assessment,
Interventions.
and
Yeah.
Yes,
yes, and that can be deployed across multiple channels, including WhatsApp. Is that what you're saying?
including WhatsApp. Yes,
So
that's correct.
hypothetically speaking, I can just be in my house chilling, or Elizabeth will be familiar with what I'm about to say. I can be in Singapore taking a walk, and I can
I am
and I can
familiar with
enter
what you're
WhatsApp,
saying.
and I can enter
Yes,
WhatsApp and take a training gap assessment. If my
absolutely.
HRO lead or my HRO business partner thinks that, oh, you guys just help me in this particular department? Maybe, like all of us that did not go to Covenant, yeah, all of us
Oh
to
dear.
pack all of us together and say, okay, take a assessment. Is that what you're saying to say?
Yes, yes, that is
Fantastic.
actually
Would
possible.
like to see. I would really like to see this.
Yeah, I
Let's
would
allow
like to see
Elizabeth
it too.
continue. I'm
I
sure
would like
even
to see it
Elizabeth would
too.
like to see it.
I want to see because so here's the thing. Here's the thing. If one of the most powerful tools that I think a, a company that is growing will have is the ability to renew the experience of the people, to
Interesting.
elevate their learning. Yes, to elevate their learning experience. Because right now, we need people who can learn on the go, learn from everything.
Learn on
We
the
have
go.
learn on the go,
Yeah,
but we have a generation that is willing to do that. The Gen Zs that
actually.
everybody's talking about, they are increasing they will learn anything right now.
Yeah,
But are we making the learning accessible? Are we
yeah.
are we saying expecting them to already know some things
Mm-hmm.
and not making it available? So we have WhatsApp, and it was very interesting when he said that. You have WhatsApp. I don't know how many links I've sent to my team on things that maybe I watch it and I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. This thing just addressed this thing I was
So
talking
WhatsApp
to them
became a
about.
business tool for you, not
It's
a
a business,
personal
eh?
chat.
It's a business too. It's all. We will send my team member will send me bullet points of things to approve on WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Just because maybe I'm talking to you now, I'm not going to be opening my email. Yeah.
Actually,
And
actually.
when I finish, I'm not really going first to my email. I'll pick up my phone. So if I pick up my phone and I see, oh, there's this thing here, I will address it here. The knowledge comes from here first before I then sit down. We want to settle down and go to the email. Now, about learning and developmental growth, because we have many people, but we say we don't have talent.
Yeah,
Who is
true.
supposed to fix that? What is talent? The way we define talent needs to change, and it needs to change on the go. We need to not make the wheels of change turn as slowly as they're turning. If I am able to, maybe I've had a meeting with my team and I see that at the end of the week I'm planning, this is a very simple performance management design.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the week I'm reviewing the week and what gave me headache will come here throughout this week, and I'm like, it's obvious that my team doesn't know this thing. Yeah, maybe it was a communication problem. Somebody didn't communicate proactively
Mm-hmm.
when they should have, and I had to remind you, or somebody wasn't thinking about a problem very well, and you find you have to be taking them through steps of problem solving. Maybe you have that because of your experience, and these young people don't have it. You might find that there are different capacities of learning, of absorbing. You might be
Absolutely.
in that meeting with four people, and one of them has taken it, you don't need to tell them twice because the way you've communicated sort of resonates with them.
With the person,
The
yeah.
other two people, the other two people might not, they might still be struggling. They might want to understand it, but it's not working. And you can communicate only the way you can. If you have a flexible process, you can find the way to reinforce that learning and present it in different formats in a way that doesn't have to wait until you do an appraisal that somebody has failed the appraisal before you then say, now let's send them for L&D. There are things that are happening on the go because change is now constant. We need to make the performance definition, like identify where there's a performance gap before it becomes a real performance gap. So it might be a knowledge gap. If a knowledge gap drags on for too long, it becomes a performance gap because they're
Yeah,
supposed to do
true.
something, they don't have
Very
the
true.
knowledge for it, then
Yes.
they don't do it. Then you
Mm-hmm.
measure. So if we're on that cycle, we will definitely have round pegs in square holes that could have, through feedback, reinforcement, all of that in a timely manner,
Mm-hmm.
have become square pegs in square holes or whatever. They would have just
Mm-hmm.
had the knowledge that they needed for that specific delivery. So for me, I think we should lean more towards using AI in any format. There's a different thing of realizing where to find it, which tool to use, or if it's just ChatGPT. There are people I have guided on preparing their own personal development plan on ChatGPT. Just what's the constant feedback you've been getting? What
Mm-hmm.
makes your boss scratch their head? Or, just say, yeah, yeah, yeah. What's that friction? What do you need to know? Go there and prompt and say, okay, this is the feedback I'm getting. These are the things I don't understand it. What skills do you think I need? This is what I do. This is what my company does.
Yeah.
Give me my dossier. And then it gives you, okay, I agree with this, I don't agree with this. You know what? I want to close these gaps. What are the things I can do? Give me a short term, immediate term, short
And
term,
then
and longer
long-term
term
plans to be able to close the gap.
process. Just imagine if you had a tool like that plugged in.
Internally.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. That you can be doing on the fly. Or me, the manager, is pulling my hair out because why are these people not understanding? I'm frustrated. I can go and just type the thing in
Mm-hmm.
my WhatsApp and say, okay, this meeting that I had, please see the recording. Tell me, am I mad? Are we going to, yeah, are we going to fall in the pit because these people are not getting? Should I just do it myself or should I sack all of them and whatever? And it can analyze it for you and say, here are some of the gaps
Mm-hmm.
that I have noticed, and here is a guide on how to close it.
Okay.
Send this person, there are some links, there are some things. We don't need to be waiting forever. This is how we should be using AI. That's my own.
That's
So,
interesting. That's interesting.
yes.
I just to again, I know you still delve, but I just want, I want to, I really want to hold Tosin by the jugular to be sure. So Elizabeth just mentioned something about which is very, which I think is actually very important. So I know, where it's general tendency to say that, oh, because the generation that is really the active generation working now are the Gen Zs. The general trend is to want to have training on the go. But guess what? Even the millennials and the Generation X's that are still working now are also on the go. So we all we all need
Yep.
to have training on. So my question would be that in accompanying, so after doing a gap assessment, like, w- is there are there tools that I can also use to learn, have learning on the go? So like, Elizabeth has mentioned, I've done the assessment. Somehow HRO has identified that yes, XYZ is why you have this gap. And then is there something that I can use to learn and go? And I don't literally need to shut down. The organization doesn't need to spend, well, I hope many organizations are not here. Don't need to spend millions to pack all of us out of the office. All of us go to LBS. There's no work. There's, there's no
That's
work
so
this week.
1999.
So yes, that's
There's no work this week.
yeah.
Is
So
there a tool to do that?
Sorry, Tosin, before you say this thing, she said
yes,
HR has identified. Why is the line manager themselves not identifying? That's where we
Okay.
should be going.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Tosin, over to you.
Just go ahead.
yes, there's a tool, and when Elizabeth had mentioned, learning on the go, it actually did resonate because it's not even in the workplace that this is becoming more prominent in terms of the ask. Right today, you have full-fledged schools that have made sure that. They have programs that busy professionals are able to learn on the go. Right within organizations, as Elizabeth had first mentioned, the first business is to make money. You're in
That's
business to do
important.
something, right? So you may not be able to afford to shut down the business for a day or two and say, everybody take this training, or this department, take this particular training, right? So um, there's flexibility in how those trainings can be delivered. You are able to learn on the go, and this is a very key area in which AI has made it possible, or indeed, Ibanco has made it possible for organizations and their staff to be able to learn on the go, whether they are using their mobile phones or they are using laptops. They can access their trainings wherever they are,
Or let me put you on the spot, or because you mentioned WhatsApp or from within WhatsApp.
all
Tosi?
from within WhatsApp.
Interest. You're
All
going
Ha!
from
to
within WhatsApp.
okay. You'll be showing us
Ha!
you showing
Me, I want to see. I want
you'll
to
be
You would
showing
see.
see.
us
We
some
will
interesting
show.
things today. Okay, Elizabeth,
I
let's
I
you
have
continue.
I have a question. Who
Okay.
populates the learning content?
Tosin.
The learning
It's
content.
yes, the learning content itself would be HR, right?
Okay,
And of
okay.
course, HR itself can find ways to be able to enrich that learning content, right? Because the whole idea is, HR should be able to do things that are more dynamic, more strategic, that will help the organization to reach its
Okay.
expected end. Right.
Yeah.
So yes, it's HR that will be able to do that.
But Tosin,
Same
let me
question again.
go ahead,
Why
Elizabeth.
HR?
No, no,
Manager
no, no,
uncle.
Elizabeth. Let me add a point. And I'm supposed to be moderator, but hey, I'm also a banco.
It's
So
okay.
let me
Please
let
go
me
ahead.
quickly add a point. I also know, and Tosin, you can corroborate what I'm saying is the beautiful part of what the Ibanco solution and the dynamism of the AI that we have is the ability to create flexibility and ease even for HR in such a way whereby you don't need to create the content. You can point the AI to say, I want content from XYZ source. The source can be policy document, can be
Mhm.
URL, can be
Can
can
it
be blogs,
be
can
can it be tall
be
stack, for instance?
yes, can be a stack, provided it's a readable stack. And point the AI there and say, I need you to look into all this multiple place and provide necessary training for Itohayala because she has deficiency in this.
In Nice. So here is my own. I don't know
I
if
know.
that's
No,
what.
let us collaborate. Like I said, Elizabeth, I'm doing host. Can you
Yes,
So
collaborate?
yes, it's okay.
Can you corroborate what
yes,
I just
that
said?
is 100% correct,
Okay.
right? And maybe I should marry what Elizabeth was asking about why can't it be the manager, right?
Mhm.
Of course, reason why the manager is involved, but L&D, I think we know primarily is HR's duty, if as
Are
it
you
were,
telling me
right?
the HR
Now,
person, or
no,
you're
no, no.
saying
So
it?
I'm going somewhere with this, right?
Okay.
So you have HR in ultimately being able to find out uh, where the learning gaps are, and I've already mentioned how Ibanco can help with that and all of that. But in terms of just what Itwa had mentioned, in terms of the knowledge base that the bots would be able to use to develop
Or the AI
a
can
training program.
assess. Yes.
Yes,
Can
that the AI can access to develop a training program and all of that
Mhm.
for staff, just as an example. Right.
Mhm.
HR is also involved in being able to put that together. You can also do that with the manager and all of that. But it is possible that it's not just HR that is responsible for that. You may be able to give some level of responsibility to managers, as well. But again, the core point is there's flexibility around creating the kinds of interventions that you need before it goes to DC or goes to any of those kind of panels.
Let me
I
quickly
hope this
ask a
is clear.
question here because I actually also think that this is the experiences you're sharing is most of the organizations that have been empowered to use this tools are always championed, or the need to adopt these tools are always championed by the HR team, if I'm correct to say. So Elizabeth, what I'm also
Yeah.
trying to bring out is that organizations that are flexible and dynamic enough to say, oh, there's some parts of learning and training and capacity building that individual departments need to own. I'm sure the Banco solution can actually achieve that same split and dynamism and assigning based on what the organization actually prefers, what the organization preference should be.
Okay. Do you want me to
Yes,
respond now?
please, please,
Please go ahead.
Okay.
please go
So
ahead.
what I'm saying is that remember when we started on the premise that everything is changing too fast, it's everything all at once
Yeah,
at the
true,
same time.
true.
You can't leave that responsibility of class
Only.
prefectship on HR. That's why we are behind. That's why organizations are not growing and being nimble. HR can be the champion for it. But if we already design a solution that needs HR to be the umpire in all of that, then we're limiting it.
Mhm.
Because big news, HR does not know what somebody has a gap in some engineering
Mhm.
behavior. That's not common because if HR says, "Oh, is what are the languages now? Python. It's this one. Is that one." But
Java,
the manager is
PHP.
saying this guy does not have. writing skills.
Mhm.
We're trying to keep our code base, and they are not being judicious with that. There is technical writing. The manager can be saying, this guy, we had KPIs and all of that, knowledge management, he's not saving anything, he's not. HR will not know that it's credit writing unless the
Yes,
manager says so.
actually, you're
Why do
very
we
correct.
need to create a process that needs HR to push the manager, big baby, to think about narrowing it down to technical writing, then pushing it back to HR to go and look for the course. Then HR pushes it back
I
to them.
actually, I
What?
actually think that, Elizabeth, I actually think that again, I'll come back to the structure of the organization, like you said. So if the structure of the organization, because like I'm also as a man, and Tosin, you can confirm or corroborate, these tools can be the tools that we're talking about can be configured and assigned to specific users depending on what you want those users to be able to do with them.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's all I was asking. Is it possible
Very
because if
possible.
you say it's HR, then I'm like,
No,
okay, you're
no, no,
creating
no.
a Jugunu thing like the other people I was talking about. I will not call them. I don't even used to fear anybody. I'll call their name now if you try me.
Okay,
But
so let us allow you go so that we can get to the part of Tosi showing us all
yeah,
the miracles, signs, and wonders
yeah.
that he has been talking about.
Okay. So the flexibility and nimbleness, yeah, is what is required really for HR. HR superpower or super requirement is to be the thinking brain behind how to design these people processes and being humble and knowledgeable enough to not hoard some of the responsibilities when it shouldn't be their own, like this one we're talking about, like the designing learning. You can make sure that the learning that has been selected is appropriate to the gaps that have been identified. You can make sure that the process to do all of that has been identified. You can make sure that your business, your organization, the climate and the culture is encouraging for the type of engagement or retention activities that are rhyming with the population in your company. Because in some organizations, we have dated policy that we met. We just know this is what it said in the HR Business Partner book of 19 something. And that's what we're trying to, is we're getting our opportunity now to live out those things. But maybe they don't serve. Maybe the understanding of those things serve as a good foundation to build something better that's tailored to your organization. So the big thing I am saying here is tailored to the organization, which is what the bigger HR solutions don't have. They don't have, it's difficult to tailor it to the solution, to the organization. If I say right now, we're pushing that every organization needs to figure out how to create longevity. Longevity includes keeping your good people, right? It's no longer a battle for cash anymore. It's not who can pay the most. If you can pay, they'll collect your money and they'll still go somewhere else that offers them the things that are making them move. So we're looking at a very mobile generation. And yes, I was saying, oh yes, we have Gen Z as an increasing population in the workforce. But yeah, Gen X and millennials were on the go. Like I don't like working in the office, and I'm Gen X. So I'm appreciative of an organization or a system that can give me that flexibility and not penalize me for not wanting to come to the office when they can have it, when it can happen. So cash is not the only king in a retention conversation, is the point this slide is trying to make. People typically all saying they don't leave organizations, they leave their managers. Yes, is the manager stewarding your career properly, even in the face of a class monitor HR? Is the line manager being responsible enough that HR doesn't feel the need to supervise? If you have departments and managers who are responsible and accountable for the growth and development of their people, they will take it personal and not just be waiting that, oh, HR is the one who has not told us. HR has not launched this. HR has not launched that. Managers will be pushing for that knowledge. So credible development opportunities will arise. People will feel like they're doing meaningful work because they're being appreciated, not only by cash, because there's no human being that can be bought, really. When you think that's a whole philosophical conversation, let me go you from there. And then people want to identify that there is impact in what the work that they're doing. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Wait. Where am I? Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about all these skills, everything I've talked about, including for the managers, for the employees, for the leaders in business, for everything. You need these central skills that the Gartners, McKinsey's, and all the Harvard Business Reviews of the world are calling the skills that people in the workplace need now. These are forever skills. Are we building these? So the third challenge is, how do we make these skills central to how we find and develop our people in a way that adds value to the business and in a way that can change when the value to the business changes? Then we've talked about this one. What is performance nowadays? Is it just a list of tasks? Is it your JD? Is it what? Is performance your ability to round off your edges and so that you can fit into this hole that has become round when it was square before, but now it is changing? So your ability from all these skills here, learning, just lifelong learning and curiosity, to spot that, okay, now I need to round off my edges so that I can fit into this hole. It has changed. Or are we fixing goals that even when the external has moved, because those are goals that we set, we say we must finish the goals first. A lot of our performance management cycles are like this. We need systems or processes that are flexible to make those changes as they need, to spot changes and make them. So HR, this is my charge to you. Reduce your reaction time to 0. And the only way you can do that is by respecting every form of data that you have within your arsenal. Respect the data. We don't respect the data is why there's data that we ignore, we don't use, we don't consider it data. But you have data. Excuse me. Respect the data. Use learning and performance as a lever to improve the quality of talent you have in your business. And of course, empower people with the access to these tools. I really like that you guys have said it's on WhatsApp, Teams, all the things. And I think maybe people can do self-service on go without having to log into a tool. Then reduce time for HR people to be more creative. That's all. With that,
Thank you.
I bid you adieu.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I think it's time for us to hold Tosin by the jugular. Because, in fact, if we sit on this slide and we take like almost everything, yeah. So my question would be tailor the learning and performance experience by individual. Now you had mentioned before that there was a tool for gap assessment. How would that come in this space? Or maybe you can show us what it looks like, if possible.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, go ahead.
You can confirm when you can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so you asked me about training gap assessments specifically.
Yes, training gap assessment.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll play this and I'll speak to it as we go along.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so uh, just a couple of things to note here. We are looking at an organization, a fictitious organization called Sadana Logistics.
Okay.
Right. And what you'll be looking at would be their training gap, assessment flow.
Okay.
Um,
So when you say
this,
flow, what do you mean? Like,
okay.
Okay,
So
let me not interrupt. Let me let you go. I might pick up what you mean by flow at the end. Let's go.
okay, all right. So by flow, I just generally mean that this is how it runs, right? So in this particular case, the staff member has come to the um, modal. So assume this is Teams, for instance, he has logged in. The bot is able to greet the person by the first name, last name. Again, there are all sorts of integrations that have been done to make sure
So we
that you're
can't
addressing
really.
people.
You seem to be breaking a lot.
Is
Maybe you could
is this
take that all over
better?
again.
Okay. Can you hear me well now?
Yes, yes, it's better now.
Okay. So let me do this again. So a staff member has come, or a staff member of Sadana
Mhm.
has come on to Teams, and has logged in. Um, and then he gets an automated response. I am Sana, which is the name of the bot. If it is Elizabeth and Daughters, it can be I am Beth. If I mean whatever it is as an organization that you decide to name your bot, you can have that. Then it also gives a list of preset options, right? That as an organization you can have access to. That's number one. And number two, we can actually work with you to be able to build, some of this menu, options,
Okay, let
right?
me pause you real quickly
Sure.
to say. So what you're saying that for Sadana Logistics, can you go just back a little bit? Yeah, because I see quite a lot of services. So you're saying this bot is being curated and created just for Sadana and Sadana's staff members or their internal customers. Let's use that word.
Yes, for Sadana staff, aka their internal customers. That is correct.
And then all the services
Right.
that you just showed after. So this is me logging on to our internal platform, right? Let me say I'm the one logging on. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I log on, and then everything
You
here
log
is what I can access. So I can search our policies. I can request for a letter of introduction. I can access a training portal. I can.
You can raise a complaint. You can, as a staff, raise requests. You can have surveys. If you're exiting the organization, you can have an exit interview directly on the go, just as we have made mention of. Well, in this particular case, we are looking at training gap assessment specifically
Okay, so let me let you go through the
for,
training gap assessment.
okay, as Theodore of Saldana Logistics. So what it does is to come and select training gap assessment. There are messages that are sent. So, hi Theodore, we are gathering feedback to help us support, warehouse and logistics. And the reason is warehouse and logistics. Remember, Sadana is a logistics firm. It asks on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident are you regarding um, our policies regarding logistics, right? So, in this way, it's built in such a way that that assessment is somewhat conversational, or at least you are putting in some inputs, and then the bot, moves on to the next thing. So it's not, it doesn't take too much time, and it's done in such a preset way that is very, very easy and manageable for the employee on the one hand. And when you're getting the data, because we had spoken quite a bit around data and using data effectively as HR. HR is also able to get this data in a way that they can infer insights from them and are able to use them specifically. So let's move on with this. The employee has selected number four. And then we say, oh, to ensure that you have the right support, please select the training modules you feel you need additional guidance on. Again, these modules that you can see are sample modules, and they are specifically for a logistics type firm. Now, if you're in manufacturing or whatever vertical that you are in, of course, you know that these trainings will vary, but it's for this particular type of business. So here you have selected shipping protocols, right? Okay. So what the bot now does is to check the internal records, to see which other compulsory trainings have you not completed? So in this case, it had brought out two other trainings, so logistics safety and data privacy compliance, and now goes ahead to ask, oh, do you want to access these modules now, or you want to schedule, for later? Right? As a staff member, you can select whatever it is that you want to do. Now, in this case, the staff has selected that they want to access the training at this time. Now, so what it does is the bot takes that report or takes that response and then provides the training links for each of those trainings that the staff has not completed yet, right? So this would be the link that will go directly to your LMS, for instance, and then the employee can click on it. So in this case, he has opened the logistics training, and what that does is, of course, it opens the link where the um, employee is able to,
Okay, sorry.
fully
See,
carry
so
out,
this is
have
the
access to the training.
training on the go.
Yes, training on the go. Right. So you have access to the training. You can complete the training. You can have your knowledge check once you're done with the training, and you can mark as complete. Again, in whatever way that your LMS, works, there's that, handshake, right? And so in this case, the bot has now gone further to ask, right? Okay. So he has completed the first training. He has gone ahead to complete it or click on the second link to complete the second training. Taking the knowledge check of both trainings, Mark has gone ahead to mark both, as complete, and then the employee can go back into the chat. Right. So a couple more questions that the bot can ask, about their experience around using the modules or finishing the modules. Did you have any kind of issues? Were there time constraint issues? Did you have technical or equipment issues?
Yeah.
Did you have other issues? Or you could start again. The employee in this case has selected no other issues, right? And then the last bit is again, just to make sure that you're moving at the pace of the fast change that is happening. Sometimes there are some employees that will think that within some particular roles, they may need to have some niche trainings. The board goes ahead to ask them, are there some niche trainings that you want, or some trainings that you think that we might have overlooked? And then the staff is able to give, his answer in this case. So no other thing, and then the staff member is done with that. So thank you for your feedback, Theodore, Roman. What else would you like to do? So in this case, it just defaults back to the menu. So let me iterate, or let me say again what we have gone through. Number one, on the go, the employee is able to access this service. That's number one. Number two, the employee is able to access any of the services or any of the service flows. You asked me what a service flow is. So what I've shown you on the service, on the training assessment, is a flow on about some of these services that you have already, right? So the employee is able to select anyone and then complete this. Do you have any questions?
Tosi, I
Or you
think
want to
that
chip in?
yes, I have a couple of questions, but
Sure.
I'm also trying to manage our time. So I'm going to let you because again, we were very particular about this training gap, and then we're
Okay.
also particular about the learning. So you've kind of taken both of them together. So I'm going to ask if you have anything else in again referencing the last slide that Elizabeth showed about what HRO needs to do. Anything else you want to show us? She spoke extensively about data. She spoke quite quite very passionately about tailoring learning and performance, which what you just shown now just clearly addresses that. And then, but she also mentioned, which is very very important, empowering people with access to modern tools. So aside from what you just shown us, because when you showed us the login, when the staff logged into the the communication tool for the organization. I saw quite a lot more functions that were shown in the display. Maybe you could walk us through a couple, and then let's see how that works, and then so that we can marry that with the recommendations from Elizabeth, saying that we really need to empower people with access to modern tools for problem solving, and then also driving their creativity. I can't be worrying about, it's 2026. We're about to enter 2027. Can you show us a little bit more?
Okay, so what I'm going to show you next is something that we call voice of the employee, right? I mean, of course, organizations from time to time would like, and it's a good practice
Please,
to
me, I
have.
need this voice of the employee. And Elizabeth, I'm going to recommend this for the organization that did not have covenant people, because we need to
Wow.
complain.
Mhm.
Please show us how it works.
Okay, so again, same organizations and logistics, you're looking at voice of the employee. Um, of course, just as all of us, I would imagine on this call would understand, from time to time, you would need to feel the pulse of the employees under your purview, just to be able to understand, okay, how is your experience with the organization? How is your experience on the job? Perhaps are there more things that we need to do? Again, in line with the flexibility that Ibanco has got, we can work with you to be able to design something that is more tailored to your own organization. So, first off, the staff need to come and log in, right? So, even if it's on those channels, you have access to them and you're able to log in, it's able to tell. IT, you had mentioned specifically some of these flows that we have. So just run through them very, very quickly. Employees are able to search policies, right? So employee may, and I'm going to give a very human example, right? uh, you spend a lot of your time of your life actually working, right? So you see a lot of people that work with colleagues over time, and sometimes romantic feelings also develop, right? But you know that there are some organizations that will have specific policies that have to deal with that. Either two people from the same organization cannot get married, or once they get married, one person has to leave, or to make sure that they are not in the same department where somebody has a supervisory overview of the spouse. There are various ways in which organizations deal with. So um, uh, at the click of a button, employees are able to search, policies to ask some of those kinds of questions. They're able to raise specific complaints. They are able to request, letters of introduction, whether it's for visa purposes, NYC purposes, whatever it is. Of course, Access Training Portal, I've sort of touched about it when I was talking about the training gaps assessment. Staff are also able to raise, requests directly here, right? So, voice of the employees, what we want to look at. Of course, you're able to do exit interviews and the rest of that. But in this specific case, we're looking at voice of the employee survey. Okay, so the staff clicks on it. Of course, there's some sort of, if you will, introductory message around the voice of the employee survey. We are currently reviewing a benefits package to ensure it meets your needs. Can you spare this amount of time? And these are the options that you can, speak on. If you could change or improve benefits today, which area will be the biggest impact? Again, this is what we have designed for this organization. So whether it's on wellness, financial planning, remote work support, I'm sure Elizabeth will be very happy about the remote work support, professional development, and so on and so forth. Now, this employee has chosen remote work support. The bot takes that response, and then thanks for that. Could you be more specific about why this area is a priority for you? The employee can go ahead, and in his own words, is able to explain that flexibility in working schedules for living at a distance and so on and so forth. It goes on to ask, are there specific benefits you've seen elsewhere that you think that we could consider? So in this case, you're sort of asking for feedback on a way to be able to enrich the experience, of the employee. The employee looks at it and says, okay, I need more employee certification trainings from this organization. Right now, the employee has now, completed that survey according to this flow. Um, says thank you. Your feedback is anonymous. You get back to HR team as they plan next year's benefits. We should be able to share an update with you on the results and next steps by so and so time. Now, the employee gets that same menu back, and of course, he can go ahead and pick whatever else that he or she wants to do. Uh, but recall that I had spoken about data that the HR on their own side be able to be would be able to gather and get insights on what the cumulative voice of the employee survey is. So this is that's an example of what it looks like from the HR's point of view. So let me recap what I've shown you here for the voice of the employee survey. The employee goes onto the channel, selects that he wants to complete that particular survey. Now, this particular survey was for getting additional input or feedback on the benefits that the employees currently enjoy, and then going a step further to ask that, are there any other benefits you think that we would need to add to enrich, as it were, your stay here? The employee does all of that, completes that, and at the back end, the HR staff is able to get uh, a comprehensive report, right, with all the data that has been accumulated or gathered in a cumulative manner, so that they can use that data, they can use that report to be able to have strategic interventions to be able to increase or make sure that the experience of the staff members are much more robust. Itoha?
I have a couple of questions. Thank you, Tosin. So I'm going to
Yes, please go
start, and
ahead.
I'm sure maybe Elizabeth, because I can see Elizabeth smiling, so I'm sure she too, she has some questions. And then also, let me just let all our participants know that if you have any questions now, it's a good time to use our Q&A um, to share your questions, and then we can take your questions. And then I hear Ibanko, like I said, Ibanko has something to share with us so we can hear it quick. But let me just take a couple of my questions. Um, so when you were showing the flow, let me use your words, the flow for the training gap, right?
Mm-hmm.
It showed that the the staff had to log in, right? Is there anything in the tool that maybe, so for instance, in the flow you did show a part where there was an option to either schedule for later or take the training immediately. Let's assume that the staff say, oh, I'm not ready to do this, I'll schedule it for later, and then it does a scheduling later.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that does a sort of reminder trigger or some sort via WhatsApp on the, maybe like just like you would get a reminder for a meeting maybe a day before, a
Mm-hmm.
week
Mm-hmm.
before, and then on the day is there anything like that?
Oh yes, there is, and there are a couple of ways that we are able to do that. So if an employee clicks on schedule later, right, you can
Mm-hmm.
have, and I'm trying not to go into too much specifics, but there's something that we have that is called scheduled messages, right, that would send reminders to your employees. Um, Again, based on whatever it is that you've said. So if you've
Mm,
said, for instance, that you want to schedule or you want to send reminders for a meeting 10 minutes before, right?
mm-hmm.
That's when that scheduled reminder will go in, or maybe an hour before, and
Mhm.
all of that. Now, to be very clear, those reminder notifications, as an organization, you can decide that you want to send those reminders only through the channel with which that employee has engaged on. So, too many English. Let me break it down. If the staff member came on Teams,
Mhm.
right, carried that process out and said, I want to schedule this for later, before that time, a reminder or a notification is sent to the employee directly on Teams. If it was WhatsApp, it can go directly on WhatsApp. If it's Google Chat, it can go directly on Google Chat. Now, some organizations may also now decide that they want to do Google notification, that for every notification that is sent on those channels, the employee would also get a notification via email on their official email, right? So that is actually possible.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that along with the flexibility of it, there can be an organized notification system that can get this the employee on the go.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
My next question. So it has to do with, so again, this is I'm taking all the things that you showed us that and I have to give it to, even if it's a fictitious company, I have to give it to the Sadana HR team. I have to give it to the Sadana HR team. They have quite a robustness of the, and then I see that they don't like stress at all. So even do letter of introduction, you go and ask the bots. So
In fact, I wish that there was a little bit
Yes.
more time that I can show this letter of introduction. So, what
can
happens?
you quickly just show it
Firstly,
to us? Because I'm really
okay,
interested in that. If you
okay,
can, really
sure.
quickly, just show us the letter of introduction because I'm really interested. So I'm assuming that because in my former life, I used to be one of the people that used to come and disturb Elizabeth for embassy letter.
Yeah, and Elizabeth hated that. So Elizabeth will say,
Uh,
let's have, no, let me even tell you. So at the very minimum, draft the letter. What type of letters do people always ask for? Draft it and host it in your drive.
I'll go
And
and take it
when
from
they
there. Don't
say,
disturb my life.
take it from there, edit it, send it to me, we'll sign, we'll review it, and then we'll sign.
But
So when I saw this happening here, I'm like, exactly. You remember on my last slide, I said, reduce the things that would take your
yes, that
time
HR,
for
like
admin.
let's allow our HR actually think about how to help
But
the organization grow. You'll be doing
grow,
mundane,
send you
everyday
letter
things, be
because you want
chasing
to
back and
travel.
forth.
exactly. It needs to be strategic. We need to be able to free up HR's time to be able to do some
So
more
this
strategic
is
things.
okay. It's just a
Okay.
minute, and okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So this, you've already seen this. You need to log in. All of that, and click on start chat. Okay. So you have in this default menu that you along with the introductory
Mm-hmm.
message, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for the staff member, he or she just clicks on letter of introduction, and then a flow commences, right? So first things first, the uh, bot is going to ask, oh, to ensure your letter contains correct information, select the kind of letter that you need. Is it a visa application? Is it NYSE requirement, bank opening letter, and so on and so forth. Again, the flexibility of this platform is such that, number one, if you have a particular template as an organization to use for some of these things, we can work with you to adapt that and use here, and again work with you on the flow. So he has selected visa application, and then that process starts. Fill in your full name. Um, what's the name of the target organization? In this case, the person has selected U.S. Embassy and Consulate. It goes ahead to ask you for the address, of the organization, right? I think majority of us on this call will know what a current, right? So you've put in uh, the address. It has gone ahead to ask you for your passport, number, right? The person has put it. Let me slow this down. Has put in, the password number, and then the bot now goes ahead to ask you, do you want a digital version or you want a physical version? A digital version is available immediately for download. A physical copy, is available to pick at the HR's desk. And again, depending on
No,
the kind of policy
Elizabeth
that you
doesn't
have
want you
as
to
an
come to HR
organization.
office.
Okay, so this digital PDF works perfectly for Elizabeth, right? Because of the details have already been filled, you are able to have that
Oh,
document, right? And once you download it, you have the details there again in line with your template.
interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
again in line with your template, and it comes again also fully signed, right? So you can have
Mhm.
that, and HR doesn't need to worry itself too much about, oh,
So,
I have
and you
X
didn't,
number
you
of
didn't, you
requests.
didn't, you didn't need to speak to anybody. You just went there,
He
got
did
it.
not.
Okay.
In this case, he did not need to
So
speak
let
to
me ask
anybody.
questions
So,
around security. Go ahead,
so
Elizabeth. Go ahead.
can I ask? So the records of everyone who's downloaded or requested a letter, will I be able to see that? If I wanted to check how many people are going, remember I said data is from everything and everywhere.
Yes, yes.
Is this saved somewhere? Even if I'm not approving, can I go and generate a
Mhm.
report or view all the letters that have been got?
Ye-
Good stuff.
yes, you have information about all of that. And maybe I should just leapfrog a little bit and talk about our reporting capability as a whole, right? For everything that happens, on the platform, you have reports around them, right? So you are able to use those for your strategic planning. For your, I think the first thing you mentioned was man planning. All of those kind of things. You have all those reports to back those up. That's number one. Number two, I know that we are HR people, and maybe we might not know some of these things, but we are ISO 27001 certified, so meaning we have bank grade, security for all of these things, and we also have, our data audits every year, right? So, but that's a bit outside of this. The core point is there are reports that you have to be able to support you in your HR function, to see what has gone on, including things like, oh, how many people have gotten their letters of introduction for visa, for NYSA, and all of that. You have all that information directly on the Ibanco platform.
Okay. I have a question because I see that again, just using Sadana Logistics is quite. I saw things like exit interview. I saw quite a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let's assume that your Ibanco is going into an organization. Again, at this had let me use the word that people use every day around me. Are these hard coded are these hard coded services, or is there a flexibility to be able to say shop and say, oh, I am Itoha and Daughters, and this is what I would like, or I'm Elizabeth and Sons, and you know what, my focus is on ensuring empowering the line managers to be able to do quite a lot. People can come and kill.
Mm-hmm.
You can come and kill HR,
Kill
right?
HR. Mm-hmm. Elizabeth will be happy about that.
You can come
Mm-hmm.
and kill
Mm-hmm.
HR. Like, what is the approach? Like, what is the approach you would basically an organization can take to become like Sadana? Because basically, looking at what you just shown us, it's partly almost like the recommendation that was on Elizabeth's last slide. Empowering um people to be able to do quite a lot more, and then actually giving HR the opportunity to actually manage human and not do repetitive tasks. They're not recruited. That's not why they are there.
Uh-huh. There are only so many can I marry my colleague questions that HR
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
able to answer,
Mm.
you know, right? Um, so, in terms of flexibility and working with organizations to be able to reach or surpass the level at which Sadana Logistics is, that ability exists, right? So, um, even though we're a SaaS company, we could have some default, flows. I've already explained what flows are. We could have some default flows, but again, for organizations, so maybe I should first start here. Not all organizations' needs are the same. Not all organizations' HR needs are the same, right? So depending on what stage you are in your evolution as a company, we're able to meet you there. That's number one. We are flexible enough to be able to work with you to get your own specific goals, out of this. So, as an example, I'd mentioned that we can work with you on specific voice of the customer service based on what you have. I'd mentioned, for instance, that we can work with some of the templates that you have got internally. Um, we have also mentioned on this call, around things around, your what to feed into your policies, right? How you're able to arrange your policies in such a way that it makes sense and custom employees are able to get the best sort of responses from those. Another thing that we could work with you is, and I think Elizabeth had mentioned this, very, very strongly. There is roles management, right? So your managers who are managing staff can also have specific rules for what they are supposed to do along this HR journey that I think that everybody has mentioned on this call, on this webinar, that each member of the organization needs to be a part of and needs to have some level of responsibility for. So just to wrap it up, yes, we're able to work with various organizations at the level at which they are, and we are flexible enough to be able to accommodate their own type of requests.
Okay, all right. So any organization where they are, so if I decide to say, okay, I just want to start small, this AI play is new for me. I want to start small. I just want to do. Let's start with just having somewhere where the organizations and just go and check for policy before I get or do I get to the advanced level where the AI can, or basically what you're saying is that we can get to a point where for like Sadana now, I can be a supervisor and I can say, oh, I have this XYZ staff and you've been interacting with them. Can you please let me know what their training gaps before we get to that level? We can start small. That's what you're saying. So at any
Yes.
level where an organization wants to start, we can. Okay. So I hear that sort of consultative kind of engagement. Let me ask you directly on behalf of my party member, because today I'm not in Banco. Is there a fee to that consultative engagement? I
I'm seeing,
now.
no, 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 I'm seeing Adeyimika in the chat, right? I'm guessing Adeyimika is going to laugh, right? So, no, we are not shading HR people, Adeyimika. For the consultative part of it, no, there's no cost to that consultation. No, right?
Okay.
There is no
Okay.
cost to that.
Yeah, because
Um,
so I'm asking Tosin because again, what I'm asking is because there needs to be quite a lot of consultative engagements with the organization, especially well. Elizabeth might not like to hear this, but again, there's going to be a lot of consultative with what HR has in mind, and
Oh
then
yeah, yeah,
taking
yeah, of course.
yeah, so and then taking that and then translating that and building it into the simplicity that we just saw. Because again, it may look very simple, tap 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 tap, but it takes a lot. So there's going to be quite a lot of back and forth and engagement in getting there. So I wanted to know if that is a free service that the banco renders.
for the consultation, it's a free service, right?
Okay.
Because we need to be able to, number one, understand what your needs are as an organization. And just as you've said, or as we've been
Mhm.
saying, we usually deal with our clients in a consultative manner. So
Okay.
we understand you are a company in this particular space, but sometimes no two companies in the same space are the same, or maybe I should say it
Exactly.
more broadly, their needs might be different.
Very different.
Um, Maybe I should even use okay, no, because I was going to use a balance scorecard type example
Mhm.
um, here, where sometimes the weights that you have under financial, internal people, all of those kind of things, depending on where you are as an organization, you could decide and say that, okay, yes, we might be making so much money, but we need to be able to increase this people side of balance scorecard just to make sure that um, there are some particular types of attitudes that we are growing and a lot of soft skills they need to have and all of that. Right. So yes, we are able to work with you. You know, I'm flexible with you in that consultation. That's now different, from actually building
Right.
the service itself.
I have a question from you from the participant. They want to know if to use the tool, do you need to have an LMS, or are you able to integrate with platforms like Udemy and the likes? Do you need to have a learning things? Do we need to already have an LMS? So if the organization doesn't have an LMS,
So integrations generally we are able to do. If your platform, for instance, Udemy has market facing or house external facing APIs that we can
APIs.
integrate with, yes, we are able to do that. But again, I think the point that we need to take is, again, we are able to work with you in such a flexible manner that that journey we're able to build with you, we're able to work with you to be able to reach your own strategic needs.
okay. Since I have you there as strategic, I hear that you have something for us, or Ibanco has something for our participants. Can you tell us what it is?
Oh, yes. It's our webinar only offer that we are giving to organizations that have joined us today. First and foremost, you've already seen, the overview that Elizabeth has given along, the HR sphere, and then the very cogent points around the ability to be able to use data, the ability to learn on the go, all of these kind of things. And within this conversation, we've also been able to demonstrate those capacities here. So, for this webinar, we are offering 1 month free for organizations that sign up today, as well as free implementation that we would do for you. Now, this offer, as I've mentioned, is a webinar only offer. It's valid from today and expires on the 7th of September, 2026.
And I hear
So I
it's
would,
courtesy of our coach EO.
you said?
I say it's courtesy of our coach EO.
Yes, it's courtesy of our coach, EO.
No,
That's that's
she's
yes.
an advocate of taking AI to the next level.
I wanted to say she's an advocate of working from home, but
I will
it's
soon be an
still it's
advocate of
still.
knocking your head.
You see, so long as you can do it digitally, that's fine too, right?
Yeah.
But yes, we've got free implementation and 1 month free for organizations, that sign up
Nice.
today. And yes, you can scan the QR code here to it will lead you to a form. You can signify your interest. We'll have, of course, follow-up conversations with you. But please claim your offer today. Scan this QR code. And again, we begin the consultation. The consultation begins, and then we will be able to handle the rest.
All right. So first off, let me quickly wrap this up and thank you for everyone. I've had very, very, very patient participants. Everyone has stayed from beginning to the end. So I want to say thank you to everyone. You have been absolutely exceptional. Thank you for staying with us, even though we overshot our time by a little bit, but it was worthwhile. And I'm very glad that the Banco team has something. Coach EO, I can't say thank you enough. Thank you for navigating, breaking down, and with this extreme simplicity of where the challenges are, and then even preferring solution, and then it made it very easy to marry in the solution that Ibanco has built. I kind of feel as if Ibanco came to consult you to build this.
Right?
I kind of feel like if I came to consult you to be this house, but it's not impossible. You are a friend of the house. So thanks, Elizabeth. We deeply appreciate your knowledge
The pleasure.
sharing and please, our media team, put back our gift too. Put it back. Put it back. As we are talking, we are seeing it. Thank you. Um, and Tosin, thank you for doing justice. In fact, I'm feeling so envious of the Sadana team because
Mm-mm.
if I was that's another. I would like to. It's HR. I'd like to work in that department because it's
Mm.
no, because I'm just thinking about it, Elizabeth. Those guys are going to be seeing quite a lot of data. What comes from exit interview and everything is just organized in the same place. I mean, life is beautiful. Like that
Yeah.
particular organization has
Yeah.
life. Yeah, they have their work cut out for them. And to even think about it, what that organization will be thinking about, and not the everyday mundane things. It is what we
Yeah.
want to achieve next. What is the
Yeah,
next big thing?
exactly.
Because they've cracked, the foundational, headaches that they
Yeah,
have. So
absolutely.
thank you, Tosin. To the backend team that's making this happen, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining. You will be getting a recording of this our video, and feel free to reach out to us if we don't reach out first, because we do have your contacts from your registration. We hope to see some sign-ups, and then we hope to have some interesting consultation from you. So from me, Itohayala, and the rest of the Banco team would like to say thank you again, and do have a lovely rest of your day. God
Thank
bless.
you. Thanks,